Hey, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me here. And it is a beautiful Thursday morning here in Northeast Ohio. Thank you. I am Lou Marconi at L Marconi 251 on Instagram and L Marconi 1973 on Twitter. I am here for the Fanatical Elves Network doing my show, The Burning River Browns Talk. So thank you for joining me. I greatly appreciate it. Please feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We appreciate each and every one of you, Browns fans alike. We're here to talk Browns every morning, and I tied into the article that I write for Fans First, which is which Fanatical Elves is a subsidiary of the Fans First Network. So appreciate your time. So what we're going to talk about today is the article that I wrote that's going to be released today with this podcast that I did, talking about how the Russell Wilson trade from Seattle to Denver is the worst trade in NFL history, not the Houston Texans trade of Deshaun Watson to the Cleveland Browns. And I'll make my points on that. Also, talk about a little bit about the free agency rumors. The Christian Wilkins and Christian Wilkins from the Dolphins is not going to be franchise tagged, so he should be available next Wednesday at 4 o'clock, as well as Mike Williams looks like he's going to be on the move because he's $20 million cap hit for the Los Angeles Chargers, and they need to make some moves to free up cap space. So we could talk about that. But before we go any further, I need to take a pause here. We have sponsors and we have bills to pay. So let me take a quick pause and then we'll go right into it. Thank you. Okay, we're back. Thank you for that. I would want greatly appreciate and let you know that we appreciate you joining me every morning. And the podcast is going to go out. You can feel free to listen. We have a YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple, Apple Podcasts, all that great stuff. So I'm really, really happy to have everybody join us. So let's get into the Russell Wilson trade. Well, 2 years ago, similar to the same time when Deshaun Watson was traded, it was pretty close actually. He what Seattle gave up, or no, what Seattle got, what Denver gave up. It was 2 years ago. Denver gave up two first round picks, two second round picks, a fifth round pick, tight end Noah Fant, quarterback Drew Lock, defensive end Shelby Harris. Denver got quarterback Russell Wilson. They signed him to a new $242 million contract with $124 million guaranteed. So yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of draft picks. Two first, two seconds. We gave up three first rounders, and I think there's some later round picks that were swapped. And we signed Deshaun Watson to $230 million guaranteed. That's the number that freaks everybody out. So in other words, we are married to him. Now, what makes Russell Wilson the worst trade as we sit here today on March 7th, 2024, what makes that the worst trade in NFL history at this point, he's no longer on the team. He's no longer playing for him. He had 2 years left on his contract, and he's going to get paid $42.5 million to not play for his team. He could go sign a veteran minimum deal somewhere else and still get paid by the Broncos. So you're paying a guy that much money to not even play for you. You're that done with him. What happened was the Broncos doubled down on stupidity, in my opinion. And I don't get me wrong, Sean Payton is a great head coach. I would love to have him. Somehow this relationship didn't mesh well with them. So what Denver did do as well was they pulled out a trade with the New Orleans Saints to get Sean Payton. They offered the Saints a 2023 first round pick and a 2024 second round pick to acquire the contract of head coach Sean Payton. So they doubled down to get a head coach. Now, you would think since you made this big investment on this quarterback, you would want the coach and the quarterback to be on the same page to before you made that move. You would want to make sure you had all your ducks in a row for something like that. However, it didn't work that way. The relationship didn't mesh. Russell Wilson was benched by the end of the season. You would try to make it work when you still have 2 years to try to figure it out. But now they don't have a quarterback, and they have a $42 million dead cap hit for the next 2 years. Plus, they gave up all those draft picks for both their head coach and their quarterback. What I would have done, but it's easy for me on the outside to say that was, hey, we have to make this work. Can we do this? We're going to go do it. Maybe they already did that and it didn't work out. Now, NBC Sports article that I saw yesterday by Mike Florio was talking with asking that same question: is the Russell Wilson trade the worst in history? But he's still saying he's making the opposite argument that I am. He's still saying that the Deshaun Watson trade is because there was an escape hatch in the Russell Wilson trade, where for the Browns there is no escape hatch. Well, we don't need one yet. So that's my argument with that. Um, yeah, you could say Deshaun Watson underperformed at this point. Okay, fine. Yeah, he hasn't played enough. That's for sure. Um, when he played for the Browns last year, if you count the Indianapolis game, 5-1 as a starter. One bad game was on national television against Pittsburgh, and that probably kind of got all the national people to think he's not going to be good or he wasn't good. The point differential was plus 63 points when he played. Now, overall, the team committed way too many turnovers, but yet they still won 11 games. It goes to show how good and dominant the defense was. If he can come back and be very good, and we have this defense together still, we're going to have a very good team. We're going to have a very tough team to beat. So it all depends on if how he comes back from the injury. So it's still, the judgment's still out. The jury is still out on the Deshaun Watson trade. And we have 3 years. There's no reason to panic. What Denver did was hit the panic button. What we're doing is we're trying to make it work by bringing in people, offensive staff, and having it all together. Keep in mind, too, when Denver first made the trade for Russell Wilson, they don't have the same front office. They don't have the same head coach that they do today. So to them, they could easily cut their losses and move on because it's not their guy, cap hit or not. So, but with all those draft picks and the cap hit, this could set that organization back a good 5 years, maybe even more. With us, we have an owner willing to restructure contracts and we can strategically manage the cap. Meanwhile, we have a franchise quarterback potentially. Potentially, he's done it before on the field. If he comes back strong from the injury, and Nick Chubb comes back strong from the injury, we could look good. Now, for the last minute or so of this, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Christian Wilkins. The rumor is that he's tied to the Browns. He's not going to be franchise tagged by the Dolphins, and we will know on March 13th at 4 o'clock when free agency officially begins that he could be becoming a Cleveland Brown. I would love it. I think that would be great. There would be a big money free agent that we would get. He would probably be the only big splash signing we'd have. Everybody else would be kind of complimentary pieces that we bring in. Also hearing, I think putting him next to Myles Garrett and Dalvin Tomlinson on that line is amazing. I think it would be huge if that could happen. And then we probably wouldn't bring back Zadarius Smith because he would be a little bit too expensive. So they would have Okoronkwo and Alex Wright and probably Isaiah McGuire, maybe even another draft pick, be more rotational over the hold down the fort. But we'll see. And then Mike Williams is being tied to the possibility of being traded or released outright by the Chargers. He had an ACL injury. Excellent number 2 receiver. If he can come back strong from the injury, and we could somehow work on that cap hit, I would be more than happy to do that and to have him on board. But yeah, so that's it. I am going to be back here again tomorrow morning doing some more Cleveland Browns talk for you guys, and Burning River Browns talk, I should say. Just remember, guys, hey, when the river burns, it always burns brown and orange. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow.